everyone, it's Heather from Heather's Handmades. I'm so excited for today's video because I'm going to get to show you guys kind of my process in making this farmhouse style bed. I made this for my daughter Erin, not for my cat, but you can see she's definitely enjoying it. And this is not the first shanty to chic project that I followed before. I also made a farmhouse style dining room table about this time last year, so I'm going to go ahead and put a picture in of that so you can see. So I decided to kind of document this process because I'm basically a beginner when it comes to woodworking, so I thought it would be really cool to kind of see that you don't have to be really experienced. As long as you have the tools and you can follow directions, you can totally make this bed. I did do a couple of things differently. I'm gonna link their plans down below, and then I'll kind of note as we go along anything that I did differently. And yeah, I just can't wait for you guys to see it, and I totally encourage you, if you know you've ever wanted to try it, if you have the tools available for you, try it. I made this gorgeous wooden bed for my daughter for around $100. It really wasn't expensive, and I could have spent way more, especially if I would have gotten a comparable bed on Pottery Barn. It would have been about $800. So I absolutely love this bed. It goes perfect with her room. If you haven't noticed, you know, we kind of stained everything to match the bed, and I just can't wait for you guys to see this. There's also going to be more, you know, up close pictures of the bed while it's being made, and then after it's already done, so you guys can see how it turned out. But I think it turned out awesome, and I can't wait to share this whole process with you. Hey guys, we're out in the garage. Earlier today, my husband and I already cut all of the wood to size for this project as listed in the plans that I have linked below. So we went ahead and cut everything to size except one piece, and I'll talk about that later, that you want to wait and kind of measure and cut it because I have made a mistake before. So the next thing that we're doing is we're going to go ahead and put pocket holes in. So as you can see right here are the plans for how the footboard and pocket holes should be done. And here is my footboard with all the pocket holes drilled. All I did was I went through and looked at this picture to see where all the pocket holes needed to be, and then I marked with a pencil, and then I just lined that up on my Craig jig over here and drilled the pocket holes right in. So that's how you do it. I'm going to go ahead and set up the headboard, and then I'm going to show you guys me doing it. Alright, so it's as simple as just looking at this picture. I've got the first 4 boards here, and I just looked at where the pocket holes need to go and made a mark everywhere that I needed to put a pocket hole. Alright, so I've gone ahead and finished all of the pocket holes, and so this is the headboard, and right over here is the footboard. And if you notice in the plans on the headboard, the very last board doesn't have any pocket holes in it, and I went ahead and put 2 on each side. And the same with the footboard. I think it only had 1 hole on each side, but I put 2. So alright, we're ready to get started assembling. So I'm going to use 1 1/4 inch Craig screws right here, right into these pocket holes. First I'm going to turn this edge up, and I'm going to put glue all along the edge right here, and then I'm going to put these together, and then I'm going to use the screws to hold these 2 boards together. Alright, so here's the other side of our headboard. As you can see, there are definitely some gapping, and we had a couple spots where the screws went through, so we're going to sand it and then kind of see what we want to do from there. Now, if you wanted a really rustic look, you could just lightly sand this to get some of these markings and stuff off, and you could just, you know, stain and poly it like that. I like a pretty smooth finish, so we're going to let this dry since we used wood glue on it, and then we're going to sand this down to where we want it. Hi guys, it's the next day. My husband was actually out here prepping some boards for another project we were doing, so he went ahead and sanded the headboard, so I'm going to go ahead and show that to you now. So if you remember from last night, there were definitely some ridges in here, and what he did is he went in with this little planing tool and got those down to where they were pretty smooth, and then he went over this with our orbital sander right here with a 60 grit paper. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish this up with a 150 grit sandpaper just to get it really nice and smooth and ready to be stained. Alright guys, so here is the totally sanded headboard, and I'm getting ready to start on the footboard here. So I'm going to show you guys how I use that planing tool to get this footboard nice and smooth. You can see the groove right here where these two boards are joined and they're not perfect. So what we want to do is get that real nice and smooth like we did with the headboard. So we're going to start with the planing tool and then move on to the sander.
The main thing that I'm doing differently from the shanty to chic plans is that I am actually sanding, staining, and polying all the pieces individually before I assemble them. And I'm doing that just for ease. When I made my table, I didn't do that. I followed the plans where you build the entire thing and then you sand, stain, and poly, and I just personally didn't love doing that. I think it would have been easier if I would have sanded and stained and polyed as I went along. So that's what I did this time, and I love how it turned out.
All right, so this is the back side. So this is the side that's actually going to be, you know, where her feet are in the bed. And so I did hit this with just that higher grit, the 150 sandpaper, the finishing sandpaper, just to get it a little bit smoother, because it is going to be, you know, touching the bedding and where her feet are. And then if you flip this over, nice and smooth. So there was a big ridge here, not anymore. Now it's nice and smooth, ready for stain. All right, I've got the legs set up right over here. These are ready to be sanded. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand, stain, and poly them and then assemble so that everything's done and I don't have to try to sand in all the grooves after we have it put together. All right, I'm all set up here to stain and got my wood out. Make sure that you wear gloves. These are latex gloves. And I've got my stain here, which I'm gonna be applying with this foam piece covered in cloth. This is in natural, Minwax wood finish in natural. It honestly doesn't really do a whole lot. It really just darkens it by maybe like one shade, but I want it to be a really, really natural finish. All right, we've got everything out here stained. These ones just had like kind of a reddish hue to them. I didn't use a different kind of stain. That's just how they looked. I think it's gonna look fine. So as you can see, we've got all these stained, and it really is not a dark stain. You can just see here what the natural wood looks like, and then the color of the stain, we really just want to bring out and make some of that wood grain pop. Hi guys, it's the next day. So all of our wood pieces are stained, and I'm gonna get ready to hit them with some poly. This is the polyurethane that I'm using from Minwax, and I'm just going to apply this with a roller and a brush. So this has to dry for at least 4 hours, and then I'm gonna kind of assess and see if I want a second coat. And so I'll sand them and then just lightly, and then put a second coat on, and then we're gonna be ready to assemble. All right, it's nighttime now. So the girls are in bed, and I definitely want to get another coat of poly on these bed pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and sand these with a 220 grit sandpaper with my orbital sander, and then I'm going to hit them with another thing of poly and then be done for the night. So last night I did not film myself doing the poly, but pretty much I did the rest of the coats of poly last night, and then I had a little bit to finish up today. So the pieces for the footboard are still drying, but the pieces for the headboard are ready to go, so I'm gonna go ahead and start assembling that. All I'm doing here is just trying to attach these side rails onto the back and get them nice and flush as I screw into those pocket holes.
So if you can ignore the washer and dryer back here, here is the headboard basically all assembled. The last piece is the piece that goes on the top, and that's the one that I have not even cut, sanded, stained, poly, nothing. This happened where I built my table where I didn't wait. I cut it first, and then when I went to put it on, it was too small. And so then I had to recut it. I actually had to buy a whole new board. So for this project, I was like, I'm going to be smart. I'm going to wait. Just because of the amount of sanding that you do, if you just take off, you know, 1/8 of an inch, you're going to notice it. So now I have an exact measurement from here to here, and I'll be able to cut that trim piece that goes across the top and sand, stain, and poly it, and we'll be ready to put that on, and then the headboard will be totally complete. So here is the finished bed, you guys. I went ahead and put on the top rail here and here. And then we just attached the side rails with the cleat on them to the headboard and footboard. And then we went ahead and screwed in all the slats so that we can put the mattress. You do not need a box spring with this, so you can just put the mattress right on. And yeah, I have it moved down here in my daughter's bedroom. And I can't wait to put all of the, you know, fun bedding on it and see how it looks. So here we are. Here's the final product with all the bedding on. I got all of this bedding from Target. It's the Opal House brand. So there's the footboard and the bed. You can see the cat is like totally into it. And then the headboard and pillows. Yeah, I think it just goes perfectly in this space. We got all of our built-in shelving over here. It's kind of a hot mess, but there we are.